Love you. He just wanted fresh chicken. But they tried to sell him expired food and then publicly shamed him. What they didn't know was his identity, or that the entire store was about to. The fluorescent lights of Fresh Market Elite hummed, casting a sterile glow on what should have been a simple grocery run. Instead, it became a stage for a shocking display of prejudice. David Thorne, a man whose unassuming attire hid a sharp mind and an even sharper purpose, merely wanted fresh chicken. But Chloe Miller behind the deli counter had other ideas. Take this one instead, she sneered, pushing a package of gray, slimy chicken. Its expiration date a glaring 3 days past. It's marked down for people like you. Her smile was a cruel mockery, a supposed favor dripping with disdain. David's gaze shifted from the putrid poultry to the pristine, fresh cuts behind her. Could she truly believe he deserved only the spoiled? I'd prefer the fresh chicken, please, David requested, his voice calm, bullying the insult. Chloe, however, scrunched her nose in disgust, as if he'd asked for a moon rock. That's $47 a pound. This expired stuff is more your budget anyway. Then, with an exaggerated gag and a performative scrub of the counter where his hands had been, she put on a show for the growing crowd. The humiliation was palpable, a public shaming for merely existing. What right did she have to judge him so harshly, to assume his worth without knowing his story? Was this a common occurrence here? Unbeknownst to Chloe, or her soon-to-appear manager, a young woman named Maya Johnson had quietly pulled out her phone, her fingers already hovering over the record button. She instinctively knew this was wrong. David, meanwhile, subtly adjusted his sleeve, a glint of expensive metal catching the light, a fleeting hint of the power beneath his humble disguise. Time was ticking. A corporate inspection was a mere 73 minutes away. Just then, Mark Jensen, the deli manager, emerged from the cooler, his crisp khakis and spotless polo, a stark contrast to the stench of prejudice filling the air. His eyes, however, mirrored Chloe's judgment as they swept over David's scuffed sneakers, torn jeans and worn shirt. Problem here, Chloe, he drawled, his voice carrying. This guy wants our premium salmon. Chloe quickly explained. I told him we have some older stock that might be more appropriate. Mark's assessment was immediate and utterly dismissive. Sir, our Atlantic salmon is $47 per pound. Fresh caught this morning. His tone dripped with condescension, clearly implying David couldn't possibly afford such luxury. But we do have some day-old portions marked down significantly, he added, gesturing to sad, dull-skinned fish, its edges already browning. I'd prefer the fresh salmon, David reiterated, his voice a steady, professional murmur, betraying nothing. Could I see the harvest date on the packaging? Mark and Chloe exchanged nervous glances. Mark then moved, positioning his body between David and the premium fish, a guardian of treasure from an unworthy intruder. The fresh fish is for our preferred customers, he declared. People who shop here regularly, people who spend serious money. The crowd, now larger, watched with growing unease. Maya, perfectly positioned, whispered into her phone, discrimination at Fresh Market. This is wild. Her TikTok stream was already gaining traction. 68 minutes remained. David reached into his jacket pocket, causing Mark to visibly tense. But it wasn't a weapon. It was his phone, an expensive model that seemed utterly out of place with his modest clothes. I'd like to document the expiration dates on the fish you're recommending, David stated. Whoa, Mark exclaimed. Hands up. You can't just film in here without permission. Food safety is public information, David countered calmly, snapping damning photos, especially when someone's trying to sell expired products. Chloe's face flushed crimson. It's not expired, it's marked down. There's a difference, but it was too late. The camera had captured the truth. Her salmon was 3 days past its date. Mark's day-old fish, a week old. A gasp rippled through the line. Is that really what they're selling? A woman whispered. Ma'am, please don't listen to him. Mark stammered. This gentleman is clearly trying to cause trouble. David set his phone aside, pulling out a small, exquisite Italian leather portfolio with gleaming gold clasps, another incongruous detail that hinted at a deeper story. He briefly glanced at a business card. Actually, I'd like to speak with your store manager about your food rotation practices, he said, and your customer service policies. Mark's laugh was ugly, dismissive. Customer service, buddy. Customer service is for customer. Maybe try the discount mart down the street. They're more accommodating to people like you. The phrase hung heavy, a verbal slap in the face. A collective discomfort rippled through the onlookers. Maya's viewer count surged to 200, People like me. David's voice remained unnervingly calm, but a dangerous flicker danced in his eyes. You know what I mean, Mark pressed, unwavering. This isn't exactly your neighborhood, is it? An elderly black woman, in line, cleared her throat loudly. Excuse me, young man, but that was completely inappropriate. Ma'am, please don't interfere, Chloe snapped. We're handling this situation. 62 minutes. David slowly opened his portfolio wider, revealing official documents bearing the Fresh Market Elite logo. He pulled out a small professional-grade digital recorder. Has this conversation been recorded? He asked, his voice still level. Mark's bravado faltered. You can't record us without consent. Actually, in this state, only one party needs to consent, David replied, holding up the device. And I consent. It had been running the entire time. Chloe grabbed Mark's arm, a flicker of panic in her eyes. Maybe we should just… No, Mark's jaw was set. I'm not being intimidated by some guy trying to shake us down with a camera. Maya's stream neared 500 viewers. Comments exploded. This is insane. Call the news. Someone get this man's name. David, unperturbed, methodically photographed more expired items. 4-day-old potato salad, discolored sandwich meat. Each click of the camera was a nail in their coffin. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to stop photographing our products, Mark warned, and I think it's time for you to leave. I'll wait for your manager, David simply stated. The standoff was complete. David, a picture of calm dignity amidst the public humiliation. Mark and Chloe standing guard over their crumbling empire. No one knew that in 57 minutes, everything would irrevocably change. The sharp click of heels announced Sarah Reynolds, the store manager, before she even appeared. 15 years of climbing the corporate ladder had imbued her with an almost arrogant confidence. What's the situation here? Her voice sliced through the murmuring crowd. Mark instantly straightened, eager to spin the narrative. This individual is harassing our staff and taking unauthorized photographs. Sarah's gaze, dismissive and judgmental, swept over David. Cheap clothes, quiet demeanor, alone, clearly not their demographic. Sir, I'm going to need you to delete those photos and leave the premises, she commanded. No introduction given. I'd prefer to speak with you about food safety violations, David replied, his voice unwavering. Sarah's laugh was a sharp, calculated weapon. Food safety violations, from someone who probably doesn't even shop here regularly. The insult landed hard, pushing customers back, uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. This was the kind of ugly confrontation everyone avoided. 53 minutes. Ma'am, with respect, David said, holding up his phone with the incriminating photos. Your deli staff just tried to sell me salmon. That's 3 days expired. Let me see that. Sarah snatched the phone, a brazen, aggressive move that elicited gasps. Maya's live stream erupted in outrage. She just grabbed his phone. This is theft. Call the police. Sarah scrolled, her expression morphing from dismissive to concerned, then to stark anger. The images were undeniable. Clear timestamps, spoiled food, blatant expiration date. These photos are taken out of context, she finally managed, but her voice lacked conviction. The dates are clearly visible, David countered. Your staff recommended expired fish after making discriminatory comments about my appearance and economic status. Discriminatory. Sarah's voice rose, shrill. That's a serious accusation. Do you have any proof beyond your own claims? David gestured to the growing crowd. Multiple witnesses. And yes, I have recordings. He's been secretly recording us. Chloe shrieked. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. A confident voice cut through the noise. Eleanor Vance, a lawyer from the crowd, stepped forward. Single-party consent state. He can record conversations he's part of. Sarah's face flushed. The situation was spiraling. 48 minutes. Security to the deli department. Code yellow, she barked into her radio. 2 large security guards arrived, their presence shifting the atmosphere from a customer service dispute to something far more ominous. This gentleman is trespassing and harassing our staff, Sarah announced loudly. He's refused multiple requests to leave. Sir, we're going to need you to come with us, the first guard stated. David stood firm. I haven't broken any laws. I'm a customer attempting to report food safety violations. You're disturbing other customers, the second guard said, gesturing to the now massive crowd. Time to go. The irony was biting. The staff's behavior had caused the spectacle, but David was being blamed. I'll wait right here for corporate, David said quietly. The words hung in the air, stopping everyone cold. Corporate? How could this man know? What corporate? Sarah demanded. Her eyes narrowed. The inspection is scheduled for noon, David calmly replied. I believe they'll be interested in these food safety violations. Sarah's mind raced. How could he know? This was confidential. 45 minutes. Sir, you have two choices. The first guard warned. Leave voluntarily, or we will escort you out. And if I refuse, then we call the police. The threat was a heavy shroud. This was the moment of truth. Humiliation or arrest. Maya's live stream hit 800 viewers. Comments flooded in. A Twitter thread already exploded. The story was now undeniably viral. Call them, David said simply, his resolve unshaken. Sarah blinked, expecting capitulation, not defiance. Excuse me, call the police. I'd like to file a report about discrimination and attempted fraud through the sale of expired food. The tables had turned with such chilling smoothness that Sarah couldn't grasp it. She'd expected fear, retreat. Instead, she faced calm determination and legal precision. You're making a mistake, she stammered, her voice wavering. David's slight, confident smile was a chilling premonition. We'll see. 42 minutes. As Sarah fumbled for her radio, calling for police backup she secretly dreaded, a torrent of voices erupted from the crowd. They did the same thing to me last month, cried an elderly black man. Tried to sell me expired milk, acted like I should be grateful. A Latina woman with her daughter added, the staff here has always been selective about who gets good service. Story after story piled up, an undeniable testament to systemic, deliberate discrimination. Maya's followers captured screenshots, building an irrefutable case in real time. Sarah watched her store's reputation dissolve on social media, the very backup she called for proving useless against such a digital onslaught. 38 minutes. Ma'am, one of the guards whispered nervously. Maybe we should just let him wait for corporate. If they're really coming, they are coming, David confirmed. And they'll want to see everything. The expired food, the recordings, the witness statement. He gestured to his still recording phone, to the crowd filming, to Maya's now nearly 1,000-strong live stream. This is all being documented, he continued, his voice a quiet hammer. Every word, every action, every decision you make in the next 38 minutes. Sarah felt the walls closing in. Corporate inspection, social media firestorm, legal ruin, all because her staff couldn't extend basic human respect. Who are you? She barely breathed. David glanced at his expensive watch. A final telling detail. You'll find out soon enough. 35 minutes. The police arrived at the crescendo of tension. Two officers clearly bewildered by the scene. Someone called about a trespassing situation. The first asked, this man is refusing to leave after harassing our staff. Sarah blurted, and this man says, he's documenting discrimination and food safety violations. The officer responded, having clearly heard the crowd's explanations. David, ever calm, stated, officers, I'm waiting for a scheduled corporate inspection. I believe management would prefer to handle this internally. The weight of corporate inspection was undeniable. The officers, suddenly wary of stepping into a corporate minefield, retreated slightly. Sarah knew she had completely lost control. Her attempt to remove one quiet customer had ignited a public spectacle beyond her power to extinguish. 33 minutes remained. 30 minutes. Then a subtle shift. David's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen, a small knowing smile touching his lips. He looked directly at Sarah. Your corporate team just arrived in the parking lot, he said quietly. Sarah's face drained of color. That's impossible. They're not due until noon. Yes, I know. David's voice now held a new undeniable authority. They decided to come early. Through the front windows everyone saw a black SUV pull into executive parking. Three figures in business suits emerged, purposeful, heading straight for the entrance. How do you know that? Sarah demanded, her voice a desperate plea. The crowd pressed closer. Maya's live stream hit 1,200 viewers. Comments ablaze. David reached into his jacket pocket again, but this time it wasn't for his phone. It was for something that would shatter their world. 28 minutes. The small leather wallet he produced looked ordinary until he flipped it open. Inside, glaringly obvious to every stunned eye, was an employee ID badge, Fresh Market Elite logo, executive-level clearance, and a name that made Sarah's knees buckle. David Thorne, Regional Vice President, Operations. The silence that followed was deafening. Chloe dropped her price gun with a clatter. Mark's jaw hung slack. The security guards recoiled. "Oh my God," a whisper echoed through the store, but the true shock was just beginning. David, his voice still the same calm, unwavering tone that had endured the public humiliation, spoke again. "This store has been flagged for systematic customer service issues for 8 months. Today was an unscheduled assessment to determine the root cause." Sarah stared at the ID badge, willing it to disappear. That can't be real. "Would you like to call corporate and verify?" David asked, almost kindly. "I can give you the direct number. It's my direct number." 26 minutes. Maya's live stream exploded. From 1,000 to 4,000 viewers in seconds. Comments screamed across the screen. "He's the boss. Plot twist of the century. These people are so fired. This is better than any movie." Someone called the news stations. The police officers exchanged wide-eyed glances. This was no longer a petty trespassing issue. This was a corporate implosion. "Ma'am, we're going to step back and let you handle this," the first officer told Sarah, his voice tinged with pity. "Seems like you have bigger issues than we can help with." They vanished, eager to escape the career-ending disaster unfolding before them. David fully opened his Italian leather portfolio, revealing documents that made Sarah's blood run cold, each page stamped with the corporate seal, official signatures, legal letterhead. This was supposed to be a routine operational assessment. David's voice resonated through the silent crowd. "I dressed down for these visits, specifically, to see how staff treat customers they perceive as less valuable." 24 minutes. Chloe was hyperventilating, tears streaming. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." "You didn't know who I was," David interrupted, his gaze piercing. "But you knew who you thought I was, and that's exactly the problem." He pulled out a thick, corporate blue report. "Customer satisfaction metrics. For this location. Would you like to hear your scores?" Sarah's mouth moved but no sound escaped. Overall customer satisfaction, 2 point. Worst in the district. Food quality ratings 1.8 out of 5. Staff courtesy 1.3 out of 5. David's voice was clinical, devastating. "But here's the interesting part when we break it down by customer demographics." The crowd leaned in, gripped by the raw, irrefutable data. White customers rate staff courtesy at 2.8 out of 5. Hispanic customers 1, black customers 1, black customers 1.7 out of 5. Each number was a punch to the gut. "Care to explain that disparity, Ms. Reynolds?" 22 minutes. Before Sarah could even stammer a response, Maya Johnson stepped forward, a surprising confidence radiating from her. "Actually," she said, pulling out her own ID badge, "I'm Corporate Compliance Officer Maya Johnson. I've been documenting this entire interaction for our quarterly bias assessment." The second revelation struck Sarah like a physical blow. She stumbled backward, gasping. 2 corporate employees. She had publicly humiliated both on camera. "This is impossible," she whispered, utterly defeated. "Your store has the worst customer satisfaction ratings in the district," Maya continued, scrolling through her tablet. 67% of complaints come from customers of color. Today we documented precisely why. She held up her tablet, displaying real-time analytics. "We've received 43 formal discrimination complaints about this location in the past 6 months. 43. The district average is 4. The numbers were staggering. A damning indictment impossible to deny. 20 minutes. David's phone buzzed again. He answered it on speaker, and the voice that boomed through the store obliterated Sarah's last shred of hope. "David, it's Janet from Legal. Are you streaming live right now?" "Not intentionally," David replied, glancing at Maya's phone. "But yes, this is being broadcast. We're getting calls from reporters. Twitter is exploding. The hashtag Gone Fresh Market Discrimination is trending nationally. CNN wants a statement." Sarah felt the world tilt. This wasn't just corporate. This was a national PR catastrophe, heading straight for the board. "How many viewers?" David asked. Maya checked. 7,000 and climbing. Someone shared it to Facebook and Instagram. Local news stations are picking it up. This is going viral. The corporate implications were monumental. Stock prices, shareholder trust, the company's entire reputation.
all teetering on the brink because of spoiled fish and racist comments. 18 minutes. Just then, the three executives from the black SUV entered. Sarah recognized them instantly. Brenda Hayes, Regional Director, Michael Peterson, HR Director, and Laura Sanchez, Legal Counsel. Brenda took one look. The crowd, the recording phones, her regional VP, David Thorne, calm in the eye of the storm, and her face hardened. Status report, she commanded. Systematic discrimination confirmed. David responded, crisp and precise. Food safety violations documented. Customer harassment recorded. Multiple witnesses. Everything live streamed to approximately 7,000 viewers and growing. Brenda's expression was grim. Estimated liability, significant. Laura Sanchez answered, already scribbling notes. Discrimination lawsuit potential. Health department violations. Public relations disaster. We're looking at 7 figures minimum if this goes to court. Michael Peterson approached Sarah, his face a mask of solemnity, like a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis. Ms. Reynolds, we need to talk privately now. 16 minutes. But before Sarah could even react, David produced another device, a small professional digital recorder. I've been recording since I entered the store, he announced, his voice cutting through the tension. Everything is documented. Every word, every action, every discriminatory comment. He pressed play. Chloe's voice, crystal clear, undeniable. You don't touch that with your dirty hands. This expired stuff is more your speed anyway. Then Mark's, dripping with condescension. The fresh fish is for our preferred customers, people who shop here regularly. Maybe try the discount mart down the street. They're more accommodating to people like you. Each quote was a hammer blow, crushing any hope of denial. The discrimination was unequivocally clear, intentional, recorded in high-definition audio. 14 minutes. A murmur of shock and outrage swept through the crowd. More phones appeared, documenting the documentation. This wasn't just viral. It was a movement. But wait, David said, producing yet another document. There's more. From his portfolio, he pulled out a comprehensive food safety inspection report that made Brenda Hayes visibly flinch. Mark, Chloe, you recommended expired salmon, 3-day-old fish, and week-old potato salad to a customer specifically because you judged him unworthy of fresh food. He held up clear photographs, timestamps and expiration dates, glaringly obvious. The salmon you pushed was $47 per pound. When fresh, expired it's worthless, but more than that it's dangerous. Selling expired seafood violates Health Code Section 411 and could result in criminal charges. 12 minutes. David wasn't finished. He produced a thick document that made the entire corporate team freeze. This is our comprehensive analysis of this location, he stated, prepared over the past 6 months, based on customer complaints, mystery shopper reports, and social media monitoring. The statistics were devastating. 847 customer complaints in the past year, 67% from customers of color. Average resolution time for white customers, 2.3 days. Average resolution time for black customers. Employee bias training completion rate, 23%. Food safety violations, 34 in 6 months. Staff turnover rate, 89%. Mostly people of color quitting. Revenue loss from discrimination settlements, $847,000 annually. Your store, David said to Sarah, his voice chillingly precise, loses this company approximately $847,000 annually in discrimination settlements, legal fees, and lost customer revenue. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. 10 minutes. Chloe was openly sobbing now, mascara streaking her face. Please, Mr. Thorne, I need this job. I have student loans. Rent. You needed this job, David corrected, his voice firm. Past tense. You also needed to treat customers with basic human dignity. You failed at both. What about second chances? Mark pleaded, desperate. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity when they shop here, David interrupted. You denied that to customers every day. Why should you get what you refuse to give others? The live stream soared past 10,000 viewers. Comments poured in from across the nation. Justice served. This is what accountability looks like. More companies need to do this. I'm never shopping anywhere that treats people like this. 8 minutes. The corporate team huddled. A tense, whispered conference. When they broke apart, Brenda Hayes's expression was grimly resolute. Ms. Reynolds, Mr. Jensen, Miss Miller, she announced formally, her voice echoing in the now silent store. You are terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Your final paychecks will be mailed. But David held up a hand. Actually, there's one more thing. He showed them a number on his phone. $2.3 million. That's our projected loss if this story continues to spread without proper corporate response. Stock price impact, boycott potential, legal settlements. It adds up quickly. The true gravity of the situation finally landed. This wasn't just about 3 employees. It was about the company's very survival, a national reckoning with discrimination, a viral moment that would be dissected in business schools for decades. By the time the clock showed 11:54 a.m., everything had changed forever. 5 minutes. The tension was boardroom level. As Brenda Hayes stepped forward, her face etched with gravity. She'd navigated crises before, but never one unfolding live before 10,000 viewers. Cameras rolling, social media ablaze. Mr. Thorne, what are your recommendations? She asked formally, her voice heavy with the weight of careers and the company's future. David consulted his portfolio, pulling out a document labeled Confidential Corrective Action Plan, pages thick with legal jargon, financial projections, and implementation timelines, clearly the product of months of meticulous investigation. Immediate termination is only the beginning, he stated, his voice carrying the authority of a leader who transforms failing operations. We're facing systematic failure across multiple compliance areas, creating massive corporate liability. He turned to a page crimson with highlighted violations. Health Department Code Section 4-60111. Selling expired perishables. Potential fine $25,000 per violation. We documented 17 separate instances today alone. Sarah, still reeling from her own termination, found her voice a strangled whisper. 17? That's impossible. We check dates every morning. Ms. Reynolds, Laura Sanchez interrupted coldly, her own documentation in hand. You're no longer employed here. Please refrain from speaking about company operations. Also, your morning date checks are documented as falsified on 14 separate occasions over the past month. 4 minutes. Maya held up her tablet, showing real-time compliance violations, timestamps, photographic evidence. Beyond food safety, we have documented systematic discrimination under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 19. She scrolled, revealing months of painstaking data. A pattern of disparate treatment, based on race, documented over 6 months of observation. 43 formal complaints, 37 informal complaints, and today's live-streamed evidence. This creates massive liability under federal anti-discrimination statutes. Brenda's phone buzzed incessantly. 3 board members, 2 legal firms, the PR agency, major news outlets. The crisis was spiraling. What's our immediate legal exposure? She asked Laura, dreading the answer. Conservative estimate, $3.2 million in legal settlements, if current customers filed discrimination suits, based on documented pattern. Aggressive estimate, if this goes to class action, with punitive damages, $15 to $20 million, plus ongoing monitoring and mandatory compliance programs. The numbers made Chloe sob harder, her makeup a tear-streaked ruin. She was finally comprehending that her casual racism and expired food sales had just cost